This metal is about to break the global economy. Every solar panel on every rooftop, every electric vehicle rolling off the production line, every 5 grams tower going up, they all need one thing: silver. And we're running out. Not in 50 years, not in a decade. Right now, in the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you the 4-stage pattern that's played out across every commodity crisis: in oil in the 70s, wheat during the Irish famine, palladium in the 2000s, and prove to you with public data you can verify yourself that silver just entered stage 3, the outcome mathematically inevitable. Let's start with the numbers that should terrify every government on earth. Global silver inventories on exchanges down 60% in 4 years. Solar panel demand by 2026 to 100 million ounces annually, up from 85 million in 2010. And here's what makes this different from every shortage you've heard about. I'll show you why in a moment. We're not talking marginal increases. Industrial consumption is doubling in less than a decade while supply stays flat. But silver isn't just industrial, it's also money. For 5,000 years, it's the only commodity that's simultaneously an irreplaceable industrial input and a monetary metal. With millennia of trust, when exploding demand hits a monetary system built on infinite debt, you don't get a price adjustment, you get panicked. Now, before you think this is clickbait, let me be. This is not prediction, this is pattern recognition. There's a 4-stage mechanism that governs very commodity super cycles in history. Silver is now in stage 3. The outcome isn't uncertain, it's mathematically inevitable. Here's how it works. Stage abundant supply creates complacency, the resource is cheap and available. No one explores for more, the system assumes supply always meets demand. Stage demand surges, but supply can't respond, a new use cases emerges. Solar electric vehicles, mining takes years, decades to expand. Geology doesn't care about forecasting prices rising slowly at first. Stage 3, recognition of structural deficits. Markets realize supply won't catch up. Inventories drain, shortages appear, paper markets losing control. We are here right now to stage price dislocation and panic. Governments stock, pull, industries hoard. The price doesn't rise, it detonates. I'm going to prove this pattern to you 3 times, using 3 completely different historical moments. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. Oil, the 1970s stage, 11,945 to 1970 oil was cheap dollar, and a barrel of 30 cents for gas. The entire post-war boom assumed infinite cheap energy. Stage 2, demand exploded, Europe rebuilt, suburbanization, car ownership soared. But US oil production peaked in 1970, America became a net importer. New supply years away. The North Sea wouldn't come online until the late 70s. Stage October 3rd, 1973, Yom Kippur Warpath embargo. Oil prices quadrupled in weeks. Not just the embargo, it was the brutal realization that cheap energy was over. Gas lines formed, production slowed. Stage for oil went from $3 to $35 a barrel by 1980. Central banks lost control 10 times in a decade of inflation ravaged economies. Pattern confirmed, wheaterish potato famine. 1/8 for OS stage, Ireland's 8 million people depended entirely on potatoes. Cheap, abundant, taken for granted, wheat unnecessary. Stage to 1845. Potato blight spreads across Ireland from North America. In weeks, 40% of the crops destroyed in one season. Now here's where it gets dark, and this is the key lesson for silver. Staged by 1846, the British government understood this was multi-year collapse. But here's the head was available, grain existed, but prices spiked so violently that the poor couldn't afford it. Physical shortages created price dislocations so extreme that available supply became inaccessible. Stage 1, million dead to million fled, Ireland's population collapsed 25%. Wheat prices stayed elevated for years. The market didn't fail because there was no food. It failed because price destroyed purchasing power faster than relief could arrive. Remember that palladium, 2000s, more recent, more financial. Stage 1, throughout the 90s, cheap, boring, ignored by investors. Stage 2, early 2000s, emissions regulations tightened globally. Palladium became preferred for catalytic converters, demand surged. Problem: palladium is a byproduct, you can't just mine more. Supply equals structurally inelastic stages. By 2019, 8 consecutive years of deficit, inventories gone. Russia supplied 40% with no incentive to flood the market. Paper contracts tried to manage it, but physical markets decoupled. Stage $4,500 an ounce in 2016 to $3,000 by 2026, times in 4 years. The only correction came when automakers substituted platinum at massive cost and efficiency losses. When physical supply can meet industrial demand, price is the only adjustment, and it's never smooth, it's violent. Now let's apply this exact mechanism to silver. Stage complacency for 40 years, silver has been absurdly cheap. In inflation-adjusted terms, silver today costs less than $198,000, 45 years of monetary expansion, industrial growth, tech revolution, and silver is cheaper. Why decades of supply exceeding demand, massive deposits developed. Governments sold reserves and everyone treated it as boring. Complacency total stage to inelastic supply meets surging demand. In 2010, solar installations were negligible. Today, solar is the fastest growing energy source globally. Every crystalline silicon panel requires silver paste, no substitute matches efficiency. The math: every megawatt needs approximately 20 grams of silver. The IEA projects 400 plus gigawatts annually by 2025. That's 200 million ounces per year for solar alone. Add electric vehicles that use twice the silver versus gas cars. Add 5 grams infrastructure, medical devices, electronics, industrial demand, 1 billion ounces per year. Global mining production peaked at 8.8 million ounces in 2015, now flat to declining. Why? I'll explain, but first understand this. 70% of silver is a byproduct of zinc, lead, and copper mining. You can't just mine more silver, you mine base metals and hope silver comes with it. Base metal prices are choppy. Mining capital expenditures at multi-decade lows. No new supply coming. Zero supply equals inelastic demand equals exponential stage 3 recognition of deficit. We are here right now. This is happening in real time. In 2020, the COMEX had 400 million ounces of registered silver. Today, under 60 million ounces. 60 million ounces equals less than 3 weeks of global consumption. The Silver Institute confirms 3 consecutive years of physical premiums, rising delivery times, extending the paper market. 100 ounces of paper silver traded for every 1 ounce of physical is losing control. We're watching registered inventories drain in real time. Industrial users are stockpiling because they see what's coming. This isn't temporary tightness, this is structural. Multi-year supply crisis with no solution. Stage 4 panic not here yet, but close. What does the next phase look like? A major industrial player, solar manufacturer, defense contractor publicly announces they cannot source enough silver. That triggers the cascade. Other firms panic, by government secured supplies for strategic industries, investment demand explodes. The paper market breaks, COMEX changes, rulers restricts delivery, forces cash settlement. It's happened before, it will happen again. When physical decouples from paper. When the industrial bid meets the monetary bid. When solar panic combines with currency crisis. Silver won't rise steadily, it will gap dollar. $50, $75, $100. These aren't predictions, these are the logical outcomes of supply-demand math in a market with no inventory buffer. But this time is different. Technology will save us. Let me destroy that delusion. Substitution: no substitute for silver in solar maintains efficiency at scale. Copper oxidizes aluminum, doesn't conduct well enough. You cannot engineer around the periodic table. Recycling recovery rate from electronics is below 20%. Too small per device to be economical. Solar panels last 25 years, that silver isn't coming back soon. New mining takes 7 to 10 years to bring a mine online. We don't have 7 years, the deficit is now. And silver grades are declining globally in demand destruction. The only way demand falls is if the energy transition stops, and the transition is mandated by law across Europe, China, and the United States. Trillions in subsidies committed, entire industries retooled. This is policy. And policy doesn't care about silver prices. American exceptionalism will save us. Remember the 1970s, the most powerful country on earth? Reserve currency, largest military, was brought to its knees by an oil embargo. Gas lines, double digits, inflation, a decade of stagnation. Power doesn't exempt you from physics, from geology, from supply and demand. Silver isn't a policy tool. It's a finite element we're consuming faster than extracting. When that imbalance hits the critical threshold, price adjusts violently. Here's what you need to: the pattern I've shown you is not theory. It's historical fact repeated across commodities, time, and systems. Complacency, inelastic supply, recognition of deficit, panic, oil, wheat, palladium, now silver. The machine is the same, the outcome is the same, the only. Did you see it before everyone else? Silver sits at the intersection of 3 unstoppable forces. The energy transition consuming silver exponentially. The monetary crisis driving investors to hard assets as fiat currencies. The debase and the supply crisis with no solution in any time frame that matters. When these converge, and they're converging now, The price 1T rise, it will dislocate. I'm not telling you to sell everything and buy silver. I am not giving financial advice. What I'm giving you is pattern recognition. Once you see the machine, you can't unsee it. Here's my challenge, go verify this yourself. Look up COMEX silver inventories, check IEA solar forecasts. Read Silver Institute supply demand reports. Review my production data, it's all public, all verifiable. And when you see the deficit growing, inventories collapsing, demand accelerating, you'll understand. This isn't hype. This is math. Math doesn't care about opinions. Politics hopes consumption exceeds production. Inventories are depleted, prices must rise, that's the only possible outcome. And if you want to understand how we got here, how the financial system suppressed silver prices for decades using paper derivatives, who benefits from keeping silver cheap, and what happens when that suppression breaks, you need to watch the next video. Because the manipulation of silver is not conspiracy theory, it's documented fact. And the mechanisms they use to control prices are failing in real time. Subscribe, turn on notifications. What comes next is the largest wealth transfer in commodity markets in 50 years. The people who see the pattern, who understand the machine, who positions before stage 4, they'll be on the right side of that transfer. Everyone else will wonder how they missed it. Don't be everyone else.